North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. Good morning. My name is John David Wells. What do we do here? We report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for both fact and bias. We point out both. We make commentary, which is not news. It's opinion, both yours and mine. And so we debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. It is Monday, July 17th, year of our Lord 2022. The front page is something that we do to keep you informed over things that happened over the weekend and while we were sleeping. Customs and Border Protection, or CBP, seized nearly 10,000 pounds of fentanyl headed for the U.S. communities, leading to 284 arrests. The operations involved were called Blue Lotus and Four Horsemen. Blue Lotus, Four Horsemen. Quote, I understand that the department has used the insights gained from these two operations to launch the next phase of its campaign to target and prevent fentanyl from entering the United States. Drug deaths nationwide hit a new record of 109,680 people in 2022. This according to preliminary data released by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Many of them were overdose victims who unwittingly took black market painkillers or recreational drugs laced with the lethal synthetic opioid that is now mass-produced by Mexican drug cartels from Chinese precursor chemicals shipped into the country. A man wanted for a series of shootings in Atlanta, in a suburb there, that left 4 people dead, was shot and killed by police yesterday. 2 officers were injured while attempting to take the suspect into custody. Henry County Sheriff Reginald Scandrette said that Andre Longmore, 40 years of age, was fatally shot during a widespread search after he had traveled to nearby Clayton County. Several state and law enforcement agencies were involved in the search that began Saturday morning in Hampton, a small city of about 8,000 residents, 30 miles outside Atlanta. A Henry County Sheriff's deputy and a Clayton County police officer were wounded in the attempt to arrest Longmore. This according to Henry County Sheriff spokesperson Syntonia Moore. All 4 victims were identified as Scott Levitt, 67 years of age, and his wife Shirley, who was 66, Steve Blizzard, 65, and Ronald Jeffers, who was 66. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said the Republican-controlled House version of the annual defense policy bill has 0 chance of making it to President Joe Biden's desk after Republicans added amendments to the bill that, quote, mix domestic social debates with the security needs of our nation. Sullivan, on CNN's State of the Union, criticized what he called an extreme group of Republicans for pushing through several amendments to the National Defense Authorization Act, nixing multiple Pentagon policies House conservatives claim amounts to wokeism in the armed services. House Freedom Caucus, a group of the chamber's most conservative lawmakers, pressured House Speaker Kevin McCarthy into allowing votes on amendment to the bill that ranged from undoing an abortion policy to restricting gender-affirming care for transgender service members. Elsewhere, the House and Senate are using their annual defense budget debates to require declassification of reports related to UFOs, a bid to make government agencies share more information with the public. There's growing bipartisan interest on Capitol Hill as the Pentagon and other national security agencies have said that they are investigating an increasing number of identified aircraft, which the government is now calling UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomena. Representative Tim Burchett of Tennessee, he's a Republican, got an amendment passed that requires Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin to declassify DoD records and documents relating to publicly known sightings of unidentified aerial phenomena that do not reveal sources, methods, or otherwise compromise the national security of the United States. The DoD would have 180 days from the defense bill becoming law to declassify the reports. San Francisco, California-based tech CEO Mark Benioff says the city will never go back to the way it was before the pandemic, advising city officials to convert old office space into housing and hire more police. In just 3 years, the pandemic forced companies to rethink how their workplace conducts business, stripping away the crowds and bustling environment metro areas like San Francisco were known for having. Now, as some things return to normal, Many workers who commuted to San Francisco continue to work remotely, and the city is struggling to keep businesses intact. Many business buildings are left vacant. The Associated Press reported that the office vacancy rates in San Francisco were 24.8 in the first quarter. That's more than 5 times higher than pre-pandemic levels, as well as above the average rate of 18.5% for the nation's top cities. This according to CBRE, a commercial real estate services company. Betsy DeVos says she hopes Americans elect a president in 2024 who will shut down the education department and strip powerful teachers' unions of their control in order to champion freedom and choice in American education. I don't think the Federal Department of Education should exist, said the former education secretary, telling the London Daily Mail in an exclusive interview. Quote, I'm hopeful we can elect a president who is committed to either scaling back dramatically or ultimately shutting down the Department of Education. 2024 presidential hopefuls in the GOP, including former President Donald Trump, former Vice President Mike Pence, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, Ambassador Nikki Haley, and Senator Tim Scott, have all vowed to shut down the education department if elected president. Many legal analysts are now believing that President Trump will face at least one jury of his peers before the general election November 5th, 2024, but maybe not before Republican primary voters give him the nomination of the Republican Party. That prize could be claimed as early as March of 2024. However it works out, President Trump and his attorneys have begun the delaying strategy by asking a federal judge to push back indefinitely a trial on federal obstruction of justice charges involving classified documents. One reason, according to Trump's legal team, is the presidential election. Quote, this undertaking requires a tremendous amount of time and energy. The effort will continue until the election on November 5th, 2024. This according to Trump attorneys. The White House has remained silent when asked by Fox News whether it agreed with Special Presidential Envoy for Climate John Kerry's recent comments lamenting the Ukraine war's carbon footprint. Spokespeople for both the White House and the National Security Council failed to provide a comment about Kerry's remarks after they were contacted multiple times by Fox News. Last week, Kerry doubled down on past comments that a key consequence of the ongoing Ukraine war, stemming from Russia's invasion last year, has increased global greenhouse gas emissions. Quote, lots of parts of the world are exacerbating the problem right now, but when you have bombs going off and you have damage to septic tanks or power centers, etc., you have an enormous release of greenhouse gas, methane, all of the family of greenhouse gases, and the result is that it's adding to the problem. This according to John Kerry on MSNBC. Internationally, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of Canada has blamed the American right wing for Canadian Muslims' opposition to gender ideology and LGBTQ curriculum in K through 12 education. The video was of Trudeau speaking with the Muslim community last week at a Calgary mosque. This after hundreds of protesters rallied against gender ideology in schools, chanting, "Leave our kids alone." The frustration reached a boiling point after audio surfaced of an Edmonton public school teacher berating Muslim students for skipping school in order to avoid pride events. Quote, the teacher said this, "It goes two ways. If you want to be respected for who you are, if you don't want to suffer prejudice for your religion, your color of skin, or whatever, then you better give it back to people who are different from you. That's how it works," unquote. This did not have a good response from the Muslim community. Almost half of millennials believe using incorrect pronouns for transgender persons should be considered a criminal offense. A survey conducted by Redfield and Wilton Strategies for Newsweek suggested that among those aged between 25 to 34, 44% were in favor of the idea, only 31% disagreed. The remaining 25% expressed no clear opinion. Those surveyed weren't asked what the punishment should be if indeed the wrong pronouns were used. Similar sentiments were found among those aged 35 to 44. 38% appeared to be in favor of criminalizing misgendering someone, while 35% were against. Out of academia today, scientists have reportedly discovered the key to the fountain of youth, identifying a combination of drugs that can help reverse the aging process. Harvard researcher and professor Dr. David Sinclair shared that a team at the Harvard Medical School searched for 3 years to find molecules that reverse cellular aging and rejuvenate senescent human cells. The team identified 6 chemical cocktails and potentially more that helped return people to more youthful states in less than 1 week. Studies on the optic nerve, brain tissue, kidney, and muscle have shown promising results with improved vision and extended lifespan in mice, and recently in April of this year, improved vision in monkeys, according to Harvard. And also, Disney has backtracked on its claim that shows photos of New White's new accomplices, normally referred to as 7 dwarves. Previously, that's what they were called previously. It looks as though in photographs from the set that the accomplices were fake. And of course, there is some kind of misunderstanding in a correction notice. The London Daily Mail published a story on Friday showing an inside look into Disney's live-action production for the classic film Snow White. The outlet accused Disney of adapting the film's iconic characters into magical creatures instead of dwarves in an effort to be politically correct. The Daily Beast reported how conservatives were upset about the photos from the movie, but a Disney spokesperson told them the photos were fake. Disney said it was seeking a correction and disputed the authenticity of the images. The quote was, "The photos are fake and not from our production. We are currently trying to have the London Daily Mail issue a correction." And then Disney started walking back that statement by saying, "It looks as though the photos were indeed from our production, but they weren't official photos." Once again, a very bad time for Disney as Disney continues to try to rationalize politics and family entertainment, both in movies and in their amusement parks. Is this something that the company is going to be able to save themselves from? I don't know. Target has lost billions. Anheuser-Busch has lost billions. Disney may well be the next to lose billions. When you're a corporation, and this is just my opinion, when you're a corporation and you have a series of products and you develop a group of people, customers who love those products, when you start morphing your business ethos away from those customers and toward your political beliefs, trouble always ensues.